the NFL Hall of Fame debate. In 2004, 3 great quarterbacks came into the league at the same draft, and we know who they are. It was Phillip Rivers, Eli Manning, and Big Ben Roethlisberger. So all 3 of them came in the same year. They're all up for induction this year. Eli was up last year, as we know, did not get inducted even though he was a finalist. And the question is, are these other 2 going to get inducted as first ballot? Are they going to get inducted before Eli or at the same time? Errol, dial it up!
If you look at Rivers really has the best numbers out of both quarterbacks, all 3 quarterbacks. Now, Rivers never won a championship. Eli won 2. Ben Roethlisberger won 2. Ben won his first, and he barely actually was even good. Okay? Now, Ben actually has almost identical numbers as Phillip Rivers. But out of all 3 quarterbacks, Phillip Rivers has the best numbers. And again, I look at all 3 quarterbacks. They're all Hall of Famers. Eli didn't go in as a first ballot Hall of Famer. He'll go in this coming year. He deserves it. But I think Phillip Rivers is absolutely a first ballot Hall of Famer. Now, you're going to go back and forth with me, and I know what you're going to say, Fish. He never won a championship, and he played on great teams. As great as his teams were, none of those guys ever won a championship when they left the team. LaDainian Tomlinson went to the Jets. He sucked. Gates was still there. And Gates wouldn't have been the same player he became if it wasn't for Phillip Rivers. Phillip Rivers never had a star wide receiver besides Antonio Gates. If you go back and you look at guys like Eli Manning had a pretty good roster. I mean, they were at least, the wide receivers over there were better than what Phillip Rivers had. And again, Ben Roethlisberger had sensational. Hines Ward. I could go up and down some of the good wide receivers he had. I just think when you look at statistically and you compare and contrast all 3 of these quarterbacks, Phillip Rivers is the best one out of all of them and the most accurate one out of all of them. And honestly, it's by like 3%. I think he was career 67% completion percentage. Eli Manning was like 62.
Eli was 60.3. Phillip Rivers was 64.9.
Yeah. So and Phillip Rivers was, to me, the most accurate quarterback out of all 3 of them. He just was unlucky. He played for the Chargers. And by the way, Eli Manning had a great coach. Tom Coughlin's one of the most underrated coaches of all time. Very successful. Then you go over Ben Roethlisberger. Coward is one of the more underrated coaches, too. Another great coach. And then had Mike Tomlin, a winning coach for his whole career over there in Pittsburgh. Who did he have? Marty Schottenheimer? The guy was a loser. Okay, then you go over there to North Turner. Horrible. I don't care how great of an offensive coordinator he was. He wasn't a good coach. He was horrible everywhere he went. So stop. This guy is one of the most underrated quarterbacks and one of the greatest quarterbacks when you compare his numbers to all the great ones. Top 5 in almost every single statistic. He is absolutely, and yes, Steve Weich, eat your heart out because you're going to owe me a nice steak. Hall of Famer. He had Matthew Stafford over this guy. What are you, nuts? You're on drugs. I don't want to hear about Matthew Stafford. This guy had 5,000 yards 3 times, I think, in his career, if I'm not mistaken. He's a sensational quarterback. Take it away, baby. That's all I'm going to say.
Are you done being wrong yet?
No, I'm not.
Because I got the stats up here to back up my point.
You're wrong.
Which is very simple.
Wrong.
Eli Manning was significantly better than Phillip Rivers in the postseason.
Why are you
going to
look
at the 2 boxes of stats
Stop
here.
with the postseason.
Phillip Rivers, who had such a great completion percentage, according to you, actually only completed 59.
Why are you looking at the postseason? We're talking about the regular
that's all
season.
That matters in
Peyton
football.
Really?
Nothing else matters.
Really? Peyton Manning was horrible. And you said Peyton Manning is one of the greatest of all time.
Nothing else matters.
Stop. You said Peyton Manning's one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time.
Let's look at the
he was
regular
horrible.
Season as well
He was horrible. Stop with this garbage. My numbers are wrong? You're going to tell me Phillip Rivers doesn't have better numbers than Eli Manning and Ben Roethlisberger in the regular season? He does. He does. Stop with your calculating.
He has about the exact same numbers as Roethlisberger.
Again. And Ben played on a better team.
Well, you seem to forget a lot about how great those teams were. I didn't realize the late Vincent Jackson wasn't an all-pro receiver. I didn't realize that Keenan Allen, who's like 35 and still playing, wasn't an all-pro receiver.
Yeah, who made him an all-pro receiver? Who made him an all-pro receiver? Who made him an all-pro receiver?
Errol, he had 2 stud receivers.
Who made him?
Hall of Fame running back and a Hall of Fame tight end.
When Jackson
Stop
left,
acting like
when
Eli
Jackson
had more
left,
than him.
when Jackson left, what did he do? What did he do? What did he
went
do?
to Tampa and was good.
What did he do? Yeah, he went to Tampa. He was good. No, he wasn't. He was a second-tier wide receiver. No, he wasn't. Stop with this garbage. You're going to sit here and honestly
when
argue.
He was with him,
stop. Fish,
Errol,
you're so obviously over
I don't
here.
know how you can write off the fact that Rivers was bad in the postseason.
So is Peyton Manning.
His numbers
So is
are
Peyton Manning.
lower. Look at his quarterback rating. It drops 10
Ben
points.
Roethlisberger wasn't really good in the
10.4
playoffs
points. Ben Roethlisberger was worse than both of them in the playoffs if you look at the overall numbers. Look at Ben, 36 touchdowns, 28 picks. He also was sacked twice as many times as both Eli and Rivers. But Eli, in case you don't remember,
Kiss his
has
ass.
2 Super
Kiss
Bowl
his ass.
MVPs.
Good for him.
Two
Good for him.
Super Bowl MVPs. How many does Philip Rivers
And an
have?
elite defense.
Roethlisberger wouldn't get
Philip
the MVP
Rivers
that year
never
either.
had an elite defense like that, okay? Give me a break. Stop with this
The
garbage.
Giants were not elite.
They
heading
were
into that
elite.
game.
They
Now,
were
they had
elite.
an elite pass rush, but they weren't ranked that high, especially in 2011.
In
that
this-
defense
they were
wasn't
league
ranked all
average.
that high.
In
They
the
were league
playoffs,
average at best.
in the playoffs, you're
Eli
going to tell
Manning
me.
had a perfect
So you're going
playoffs
to tell
in
me right
2011.
now. You're going to tell me right now. Eli Manning was the reason why they won their Super Bowls. Get off it.
In
It was their
2011,
defense.
100%
It was
Eli
their
Manning was the
defense in
reason
their
why they
running
won that
game.
Super Bowl.
It was their defense in their running game.
Not
That's
in
what it was.
2011.
It was.
No way.
It was.
No way. Eli was amazing. And let me talk about the completion percentage a little bit, because that is a misnomer as well. Eli's offense was a Kevin Gilbride offense. And if you know a little about Kevin Gilbride, go back to the Tennessee Titans, Warren Moon, and the run-and-shoot offense. What Victor Cruz was doing in his routes is he's looking at where the safeties and corners are positioned.
Typical
and he's
Giant
trying to
fan.
take the top off of the defense. He's going on 10 to
Typical.
15 to 20-yard routes, and Eli's not going to be 67% when he's throwing it downfield like that. Eli had way more air yards per pass than sidearm throwing Philip Rivers. Philip Rivers didn't have to because he had guys he can throw short to with the best tight end and running back, that receiving running back out of the backfield. So it's not like he didn't have to do it. But Eli, his completion percentage is down because that type of offense doesn't lend itself to a high completion percentage. It takes shots. And the Giants took lots of shots with Eli until those last few years. All those guys the last few years, Roethlisberger was probably the worst in the last few years of the all three. Eli wasn't very good, and Rivers probably was better than the other two the last couple of years he was in the league. But they all weren't great. At the heights, though, none of them were better than Eli.
You're
I'm
out of your
sorry.
mind.
No
the
way.
fact that you're
No
coming
one
out.
else has a Super Bowl MVP,
Stop with
let
the
alone
Super
two.
Bowls. It takes a team to win championships. Stop with this garbage. In the
Only
regular
one guy gets
season,
MVP.
first of all, Philip Rivers has better numbers than Eli Manning all together in their careers. I don't care about the
They're
Super
right
Bowls.
there on the
And
screen.
stop.
Eli was much better in the playoffs.
Again, you're going to the playoffs. In their full careers, I'm taking Philip Rivers out of both of those quarterbacks. And again, you want to say that? You want to go back in the playoffs and talk about what he won as an MVP? I'm not MVP of the playoffs. Again, Philip Rivers, when you look at what he had as a coach and you look at both guys, those guys had Coward could have probably won those probably 3 Super Bowls with Ben Roethlisberger. And then you have Tom Coughlin. Tom Coughlin is the only one that beat Bill Belichick twice in the Super Bowl. Stop with this garbage. If you told that to anybody, if you sat down with people right now and you say, out of all 3 quarterbacks, who's the best one out of all of them? If you look at straight up numbers throughout their career, regular season, and even in the playoffs, Philip Rivers has the best numbers. I don't care what you say.
Well, look, we'll see how they go in. I would be shocked if Eli doesn't go in before both of them because of the MVPs.
All together.
People care about
They
winning
should all
when they
go.
vote.
They should all go.
Now, Roethlisberger, I think, is going to get punished for some of those extracurricular problems he was having on some college campuses with some females earlier in his career. And I don't think they're going to put him in as fast. And Rivers didn't win, so I think he's going to have to wait as well. There's a lot of other quarterbacks like Drew Brees, other guys that, are above these guys that are going to be talked about before Roethlisberger and Rivers. Probably Rivers last. I bet Aaron Rodgers gets in before Philip Rivers.
You're out of your mind. You're out of your mind.
I think it's going to take Rivers over 5 years.
You're out of your mind. You've lost your mind because he's got
Maybe
better
I
numbers.
have.
He's got better
Maybe
numbers.
I have.